The Grand Observatory of Centauri Prime sat at the heart of the galaxy's most important council. It was a place where the oldest and most powerful species gathered to make decisions that affected billions of lives across thousands of worlds. The walls were made of transparent crystal that showed the stars beyond, and the light from 1,000,000 suns filled the chamber with a soft golden glow. Today, something unusual was happening. The council had called a special meeting about a human. Not just any human, but a legend. A warrior woman who had lived 200 years ago, during the time when Earth first made contact with the rest of the galaxy. Her name was Yawned, and across all the star systems, people still told stories about her. The council members sat in their places, arranged in a perfect circle. Each one came from a different species. There was Kenji, a centauri who studied history and kept records of ancient events. There was Yunji, a young Andromedan diplomat who was new to the council but very clever. There were many others, each one ancient and wise in their own way. Yunji had volunteered to present the story of Yawned to everyone. She was excited about this task. As she walked to the center of the chamber, her blue skin shimmered under the starlight. She activated the holographic system with a simple gesture, and the air in front of her began to glow and shift. "Today," Yunji began, her voice clear and strong, "we will remember the deeds of Yawned, the human warrior who changed the course of galactic history. She was born on Earth, a small blue planet in a system that most of us barely knew existed. But she became someone that all the galaxy learned to respect and fear." The hologram showed Earth, spinning slowly in space. Then it changed to show a young woman in a military uniform. Her dark hair was tied back and her eyes were serious. This was Yawned, 200 years younger. The hologram began to show scenes from her life, her first battles, her victories against impossible enemies, the moment when she single-handedly stopped an entire fleet from destroying a peaceful colony. Yunji continued to speak, telling the story of how Yawned had fought against the Vithian Empire, how she had outsmarted their generals, how she had protected Earth and its people when everyone thought they would be conquered. The council listened with great interest, leaning forward in their seats. But something strange happened. The hologram was showing Yawned leading an attack on a Vithian battleship when a real sound came from the entrance to the chamber. It was a yawn, a long, tired yawn that echoed through the silent hall. Everyone turned to look at the doors. They opened slowly, and a woman walked in. She was wearing simple clothes, gray pants and a dark jacket. Her dark hair fell past her shoulders, and she looked like she had just woken up from a long sleep. She walked straight toward the center of the chamber, toward Eunji and the hologram. It took several moments for the council to understand what they were seeing. The woman in the center was the same as the woman in the hologram. It was impossible. The woman in the hologram was 200 years old. She should have turned to dust long ago. But here she was, walking and breathing and looking completely unimpressed by everything around her. Yunji's voice became small and quiet. I don't understand. Who are you? How did you—" The woman looked at the hologram, at the younger version of herself fighting in that battle. She yawned again, even wider this time. Then she looked at Yunji and said in a tired voice, "Skip the intro. I hate watching old me." The council erupted into noise. Everyone was talking at once, asking questions, demanding answers. How was this possible? Who was this woman? Was this some kind of trick? The woman, Yawned, walked over to a seat and sat down. She did not ask for permission. She simply sat and closed her eyes, as if she was going to sleep right there in the middle of the most important council chamber in the galaxy. Kenji stood up. His voice was loud and commanding. "You will explain yourself immediately. This council demands to know—" "I am Yawned," the woman interrupted, not even opening her eyes. "I was born on Earth. I fought some battles. I'm back now. Do you have any coffee?" "Real coffee, I mean. Not that chemical stuff your ships were serving me earlier. That was awful. Coffee, Yunji repeated, confused. You appear out of nowhere, unchanged after 200 years, and you want coffee? Jiwan opened one eye and looked at Yunji. Yes, coffee. Is that strange? I've been traveling for a very long time. I'm tired. I want coffee. A council member named Min Jun stood up angrily. You are a legend. You saved entire star systems. You are responsible for the current balance of power in this galaxy. And you sit there asking for a simple drink? Jiwan closed her eye again. Being a legend sounds like a lot of work. I don't remember agreeing to that. And yes, coffee. Strong coffee. With sugar if you have it. The chamber fell silent. The council members looked at each other, confused and shocked. This was not what they expected. They had prepared speeches about Jiwan's greatness. They had wanted to honor her memory, to celebrate her achievements. Instead, she was sitting in their council chamber looking bored and asking for a drink. Kenji slowly sat back down. He studied Jiwan carefully, his old eyes trying to understand what he was seeing. Something about this was wrong. Something about this was very wrong indeed. How did you survive? He asked quietly. How is it that you have not aged? How did you arrive at Centauri Prime without anyone detecting your ship? Jiwan opened both eyes now. She looked at Kenji with a steady gaze. Long story, she said, and it's boring, really boring, like watching paint dry boring. Can we skip to the part where someone brings me coffee? But Kenji did not move. He kept looking at Jiwan, and his expression slowly changed from confusion to something deeper. Something like understanding, or the beginning of understanding. You're not the same person who left Earth 200 years ago, he said slowly. Are you? Jiwan smiled, but it was a sad smile. No, she agreed. I'm not, but I don't think anyone really wants to know about that. Do they? The chamber filled with whispers again as the council members began to realize that the legend they thought they knew had returned as a complete mystery. And somehow, this mystery was even more interesting than the legend had ever been. The council provided Jiwan with a room in the main station, high above the surface of Centauri Prime. It was a beautiful space with large windows that looked out onto the stars. The walls were decorated with art from 100 different worlds. There was a bed that could adjust to any gravity level, and a kitchen with food from thousands of species. Jiwan did not seem impressed. She had asked where the coffee was. When they showed her, she had tested it, made a face, and asked if they had anything better. Then she had gone to sleep. She had slept for 16 hours straight. Kenji was waiting when she woke up. He sat in a comfortable chair by the window, drinking tea and watching the stars. Jiwan came out of the bedroom, stretching and yawning. She looked at him without surprise. You've been watching me sleep, she said. It was not a question. Yes, Kenji replied honestly. I wanted to see if you would move, if you would dream. Most beings dream when they sleep. Jiwan went to the kitchen and made coffee. It took her several minutes to figure out the machine, but eventually she held a cup in her hands. She sat down in the chair opposite Kenji and sipped it slowly. Her expression did not change, but she seemed slightly less unhappy. What do you want to know? She asked. Everything, Kenji said. Start with the war, the Vythian War. Our records say you destroyed their fleet almost single-handedly. You saved 40 star systems. You are the reason we are not all slaves right now. Jiwan looked out the window at the distant stars. That war, she said slowly. Yes, I remember parts of it. Most of it feels like a dream now. A bad dream. Tell me about it, Kenji said. Tell me the real story, not the legend, the truth. Jiwan was quiet for a long time. She drank her coffee. Finally, she spoke. The legend is wrong, she said. I didn't save everyone. I didn't have some brilliant plan that nobody else could understand. The Vythian Empire was simply predictable. Their generals fought like they were following a script. They had a formation, a strategy, patterns. Once you saw the patterns, everything became simple. But our military analysts have studied that war for 200 years, Kenji said. They could not break their formation. Hundreds of our ships tried. They failed. Because they were thinking like soldiers, Yawned said. Military strategy. Careful planning. I didn't do that. I just ran at them. Literally ran at them with a small strike team. Their formation had a weakness in the middle. It was obvious. A child could see it. But everyone was so busy thinking about proper military tactics that they missed what was right in front of them. Kenji frowned. That is not how wars work. That is how soldiers die. Some did, Yawned admitted. She did not seem sad about this. She seemed empty about it, like talking about something that had happened to someone else. War is stupid. People think it's strategic and clever, but it's just chaos with guns. And I'm good at chaos. Before Kenji could respond, another person arrived at the door. This was Misu, a younger council member with silver skin and glowing lines running through her body. She was a cybernetic specialist, someone who understood the technology that merged machines with living beings. I have been sent to conduct a medical examination, Misu said. She carried a device that looked like a large scanner. The council wants to understand how you survived. There are many questions about your biology. Yawned finished her coffee and stood up. She held out her arm. Go ahead. I have nothing to hide. Misu scanned her carefully. The device made strange sounds as it moved along Yawned's body, reading her internal systems. Her face became more and more surprised with each passing moment. Finally, she stopped and looked at Yawned with wonder and confusion mixed together. This is not possible, Misu said quietly. Your neural structure is completely different from a normal human. Your reaction time is measured in microseconds. Your processing speed is... There is no comparison. You should not be able to think this fast. You should not be able to move this fast. Your entire biology is enhanced beyond what we thought was possible. Earth military modification, Yawned said simply. Before we sent ships into deep space, they enhanced some of us, made us stronger, faster, smarter, better soldiers. They called it the Genesis Project. This level of enhancement, Misu said slowly, would require changing your entire genetic code. It would require technology that Earth did not possess 200 years ago. Yawned shrugged. Maybe they got help. Maybe aliens visited Earth before anyone knew about it. I don't remember. The memories are fuzzy. They gave me medicine that made me forget things I didn't need to remember. Kenji stood up and walked closer to Yawned. He studied her face carefully. You are not human anymore, are you? He asked. Not really. You are something else. Something new. I don't know what I am, Yawned said, and for the first time, there was something real in her voice, something that sounded like pain. I'm not the woman I was. I'm not the legend everyone thinks I am. I'm something in between. I'm tired all the time, even after sleeping. I don't feel things the way I used to. Sometimes I remember things that didn't happen. Sometimes I forget things that did. I'm broken, I think, or maybe I'm exactly what they intended me to be. Misu looked at Kenji. The two of them seemed to understand something that Yawned had just revealed. This woman was not just a legend returned. She was a soldier who had been changed into something that could survive 200 years and still not fully understand what she was. The council will want to use you, Misu said quietly. They will want you to fight for them, to be their weapon, to protect them from enemies. I know, Yawned said. She walked back to the window and looked out at the stars. That's why I'm here. That's why I agreed to come to Centauri Prime. I knew this would happen. I've been here before in a way. I remember it even though I shouldn't. I remember the future, I think. Or maybe just what was supposed to happen. What do you mean? Kenji asked. I mean, Jiwon said slowly, that I'm not sure if I'm really back, or if I'm something they sent back, and I'm not sure it matters anymore. She turned away from the window and looked at both of them. Coffee, she said. I need more coffee, and then I need to sleep again. Wake me when the council is ready to make their offer. I'll be here. I've always been here. Neither Kenji nor Misu understood what she meant, but they both felt something change in the chamber as Jiwon said those words. The legend had returned, but not as anyone expected. She had returned as a mystery, and mysteries, they knew, were often more dangerous than legends could ever be. 3 days passed. Jiwon spent most of her time sleeping, eating, or staring out the window. The council sent her messages, invitations to important meetings, requests for interviews. She ignored all of them. She seemed interested only in finding decent coffee and occasionally asking Misu questions about how the galaxy had changed in 200 years. Then came the formal dinner. The council insisted on it. It was a tradition to welcome important visitors with food and conversation. Jiwon had tried to decline, but Kenji had asked her politely and she had agreed. She did not know why she had agreed. She simply had. The dining hall was huge, with a ceiling that stretched up 20 stories high. Tables were arranged in careful patterns, and beings from 100 different species sat together, eating and talking. There was Centauri royalty, Andromedan philosophers, merchants from the Outer Rim, military leaders, scientists, and politicians from across the entire galaxy. Jiwon wore simple clothes again. Everyone else was dressed in formal wear, clothing that showed their rank and importance. But Jiwon looked like she was going to a meal in a simple kitchen, not a grand state dinner. She sat at the main table between Kenji and a female politician from the Proxima Alliance. The woman kept trying to talk to her, asking questions about the old days, about famous battles, about what it felt like to be a legend. Jiwon gave one-word answers and concentrated on eating. Midway through the meal, a man approached the table. He was tall and thin, with skin the color of deep red wine. His eyes were black, with no white around them. He wore a formal military uniform with medals covering his chest. Everyone around the table stopped talking. That is Dae-sung, someone whispered to Jiwon. He is a Vethian ambassador. They should not be here. We have treaties, but it is fine, Jiwon said quietly. She continued eating. Dae-sung came right up to the table and stood in front of Jiwon. He did not bow. He did not show respect. He simply stood there, looking down at her with those black eyes filled with anger. You, he said, his voice like the sound of metal scraping against stone. You are Jiwon. Jiwon looked up at him. She put down her eating utensil slowly. Yes, she said, I am. You destroyed my home, Dae-sung said. His hands were shaking. My family died because of you. Millions of Vethians died. Our entire civilization was crippled. For 200 years, the Vethian Empire has suffered because of what you did. The dining hall fell completely silent. Everyone was watching now. Some council members stood up, ready to protect Jiwon. Military officers moved closer, hands ready to draw weapons, but Jiwon simply nodded. Sit down, she said to Dae-sung. Have some food. I came to kill you, Dae-sung said. His hand moved toward a weapon hidden under his jacket. But something strange happened. Jiwon moved. It was so fast that no one saw her move. One moment she was sitting in her chair. The next moment she was standing behind Dae-sung, and his weapon was in her hand. It had taken less than a heartbeat. She examined the weapon for a moment, then set it down on the table in front of Dae-sung. She walked back to her chair and sat down, exactly as she had been before. I said sit down, she repeated. We can talk about my destroying your home, or we can eat. I have not had decent rice in 200 years. Your empire used to make good rice. Do you still make it? Dae-sung stood frozen. His eyes were wide. He had planned to kill her, to be a hero to his people, to erase the shame of his empire's defeat. But she had moved too fast. She had disarmed him before he even understood what was happening. Slowly, Dae-sung sat down. "Good," Ji-won said. She looked at the server. "Can you bring the Vithian rice? I think our guest is hungry." For several minutes, no one spoke. Dae-sung sat there, shocked and shaken. Ji-won ate her food calmly, as if she had not just proven to everyone in the room exactly why she was a legend. Finally, Dae-sung spoke again. His voice was quieter now, less filled with anger. "Why did you not kill me?" he asked. "Because killing you would be work," Ji-won said. "And I am tired. Also, you are just following orders. Your government sent you to kill me so they could pretend their defeat did not happen. That is not your fault." "My people blame you for everything," Dae-sung said. "Our government tells the young generation that you are a monster, that you attacked us without reason. They do not tell the truth." "What is the truth?" Ji-won asked, looking at him directly. "The truth," Dae-sung said slowly, "is that we were trying to conquer your world. We were trying to take Earth and everything on it. You stopped us. And yes, it cost us greatly. But it was because of what we were trying to do. You were not a monster. You were just stronger." Ji-won nodded and continued eating. "Tell your government something," she said after a moment. "Tell them I did not do what I did to become a legend. I did it because it needed to be done. And if they send another assassin, I will not be gentle next time, but I will also not blame you for trying. I understand what it is like to be ordered to do things you do not fully believe in." Dae-sung ate the rice that was brought to him. He ate in silence, sitting next to the woman his entire culture feared and hated. And by the end of the meal, something strange had happened. He no longer hated her. He was beginning to understand her. As the dinner ended and people began to leave, Dae-sung spoke one more time to Ji-won. "What are you?" he asked. "You move like no being I have ever seen. You think differently. You are not like the legends say you are." Ji-won stood up and stretched. "I am exactly what your government feared," she said. "A human who refused to stay weak. Now I am going to sleep. Wake me if anything important happens." She walked away, leaving Dae-sung sitting alone with his thoughts and his fear, and his slowly growing respect for the woman who had destroyed his world and then offered him rice. The incident with Dae-sung spread quickly through the galaxy. Within days, every news channel, every communication network, every trade station was talking about what happened at the dinner. A human woman had disarmed a trained Vethian assassin without even standing up. And then she had offered him food. The reaction was not what anyone expected. Instead of viewing Ji-won as a protector or a hero, species from across the galaxy began to see her as something else, something dangerous, something that needed to be controlled or owned or feared. The offers started coming. A military commander from the Rigel system wanted Ji-won to train his soldiers. A merchant guild from the Outer Rim offered her unlimited wealth if she would protect their trade routes. A political power called the Unity Coalition wanted her to be their leader, their symbol, their weapon against their enemies. Kenji brought these offers to Ji-won, page after page of contracts and proposals. Ji-won listened to each one without expression. When he finished, she said only one thing: "No." "But you have not heard what they are offering," Kenji said, confused. "I do not care what they are offering," Ji-won replied. She was sitting by her window looking out at the stars. "I did not come back to become a tool for other people to use. I came back for something else." "What did you come back for?" Kenji asked. "You have not told anyone. You have not explained. What is your purpose?" Ji-won was quiet for a long time. Finally, she turned to look at Kenji. "Disappeared colonies," she said. "Tell me about the human colonies that went silent 150 years ago." Kenji frowned. Those colonies? He said. We assumed they were destroyed. Some catastrophe took them. We have no information about them. But they still exist, Jiwon said. It was not a question. Somewhere they are still out there. I can feel it. I remember fragments, like pieces of a broken memory, something important, something about the future. How could you possibly remember something about colonies that went missing after you supposedly disappeared? Kenji asked. That is a good question, Ji-won admitted. I do not have a good answer, but I know they are out there. And I know they matter. More than anything else matters right now. Kenji left to research the missing colonies. What he found was strange and troubling. The official records said very little. But when he dug deeper into older files that most people had forgotten about, he found something that made him contact Ji-won immediately. There was another council member named Min-jun, someone young and ambitious who had connections to the merchant guilds and the political networks. When Kenji asked him about the colonies, Min-jun's expression changed. He became serious and careful. I can show you something, Min-jun said. But you cannot tell the council. Not yet. They do not want anyone to know about this. What Min-jun showed them was an archive of secret documents. Ancient documents, written in codes and hidden away for decades. They described a deliberate decision by the galactic government to isolate the lost colonies. Not because they were destroyed, but because of what they had become. The colonies had not just survived. They had evolved. They had developed technology that combined biological life with machines in ways that were considered too dangerous by the galactic powers. They had created beings that were part human, part technology, part something completely new. The Council had voted to cut them off from the rest of the galaxy, to let them develop in isolation, to contain them like dangerous weapons. They are still out there, Min-jun explained. 3-generation ships, hidden somewhere in the Forbidden Nebula. Millions of humans, all of them enhanced and changed. All of them living in exile because the Council was afraid of them. Ji-won listened to this information without showing any emotion, but Kenji could see something shift in her eyes. Something broke open, like a door that had been locked for 200 years suddenly swinging wide. I need to reach them, Ji-won said simply. And you need to help me. Min-jun shook his head. The Council will never allow it, and the journey to the Forbidden Nebula is dangerous. Many ships have entered that region and never returned. The gravitational anomalies are too extreme. The radiation is too high. I can survive it, Ji-won said, and so can an expedition ship if you prepare it correctly. I have knowledge, incomplete but useful. Instincts, memories of planning similar journeys. You remember this? Kenji asked, shocked. Parts of it, Ji-won said. Fragments. It is like someone put pieces of a puzzle in my head, but did not tell me what the picture was supposed to be. Until now. Over the next weeks, Min-jun gathered a small team. He brought in Yoon-ji, the young Andromedan diplomat, who had been so interested in Ji-won when she first arrived. He brought in trusted scientists and military officers. Together, they prepared an expedition ship in secret, hidden from the Council's watchful eyes. Daesung asked to join them. Everyone was surprised by this request. He was a Vethian, an alien, an enemy. But Ji-won accepted him without hesitation. Why? Daesung asked her when they were alone. Why would you trust me? Because, Ji-won said, you stopped trying to kill me. That is enough. The night before they were going to leave, Yoon-ji found Ji-won standing in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. There was something sad about her expression, something lost. Are you afraid? Yoon-ji asked. Yes, Ji-won admitted. I am afraid. I am afraid of what I will find. I am afraid that the memories I have are wrong. I am afraid that I was sent here for a reason I do not understand. And when I understand it, I will not like it. But you have to go anyway, Yunji said. Yes, Jiwon agreed. I have to go anyway. Because somewhere in my broken mind I know that everything depends on it. Everything in the galaxy. Everything for humanity. It all depends on finding those lost colonies and understanding what they have become. She paused, then added softly, and maybe I am going because I am not supposed to be here at all. Maybe this is the only thing I was ever really meant to do. The expedition was ready to depart in the morning, and as Jiwon finally got some sleep, her dreams were filled with images of ships and stars and something vast and terrible and wonderful waiting for her in the darkness of space. The expedition ship was small but strong. It was designed to survive the dangerous conditions of the Forbidden Nebula. Its shields were double reinforced. Its engines were powerful enough to fight against gravitational forces that would crush ordinary ships. And it was piloted by one of the best captains in the entire military. Jiwon stood in the command center, looking at the swirling clouds of gas and radiation ahead of them. The Forbidden Nebula looked like a storm made of light and darkness mixed together. Ships had entered that region before. Many of them had never come back. Are you sure about this? Yoonji asked. She was standing next to Ji-won, nervous but determined. No, Ji-won said honestly, but I can feel it pulling at me, like something or someone is calling me from inside that nebula. We will make it through. The ship entered the nebula. Immediately, alarms started sounding. The radiation was stronger than anyone had predicted. The gravitational forces were trying to tear the ship apart. The engine room reported stress on every system. They should have turned back. Every logical calculation said they should abort the mission and return to safety. But Ji-won just stood there watching, and somehow she seemed to know exactly where to go. She would call out commands before the captain even had to ask for them. Turn 15 degrees to the left. There's a clear path through the radiation field. Or reduce power to the left shield. Focus everything on forward shields. There is a gravity pocket coming in 30 seconds. It was impossible. She should not have known any of this. She had never been to the Forbidden Nebula before. She should not have had any knowledge about the patterns of the radiation or the gravity anomalies. But she did. After 6 hours that felt like weeks, they emerged from the nebula. And there, suspended in space among a massive field of floating asteroids, were 3 enormous ships. Generation ships. They were old, much older than anything the Council had seen in centuries. But they were still intact, still functioning, still home to millions of human beings. My God, the captain whispered. They are real. The legends about the lost colonies are real. The ships immediately detected their arrival. Their defense systems activated. Weapons came online. The expedition ship was being scanned, analyzed, and targeted by more firepower than should have existed outside the Council's central command. They will destroy us, someone said from the communications station. They do not recognize us. We are not human. We are not part of their civilization. Ji-won stood up. I am going over there, she said. Alone. That is suicide, Yoonji said. Their weapons will kill you before you even reach the airlock. No, they will not, Ji-won said. She was already moving toward the departure bay. They know what I am. They know what I can do. They are just testing me. She put on a spacesuit and activated the small shuttle. As she approached the largest of the 3 generation ships, the weapons did not fire. The defense systems powered down, one by one. An airlock opened, waiting for her to enter. When Ji-won stepped into the ship, she was not surprised. It was like coming home. Everything felt familiar, even though she knew she had never been there before. The corridors were wide and clean. The walls were made of materials that seemed to pulse with some kind of internal light. Everything was advanced, sophisticated, far beyond what normal human technology should be able to create. A woman was waiting for her in the main chamber. She was tall and beautiful, with features that were human but also something else. Her eyes glowed faintly with blue light. Her skin seemed to shimmer slightly, as if it was not quite solid. This was Hana, the leader of the lost colonies. "You came," Hana said. Her voice was warm but also strange, like listening to music and words at the same time. "I had to," Jiwan replied. "I have been waiting for this moment for a long time, even though I did not know I was waiting." "You do not remember, do you?" Hana said. She smiled sadly. "That is expected. They deleted most of your memories before they sent you back." "Sent me back?" Jiwan repeated. "What do you mean?" Hana took Jiwan's hand and led her deeper into the ship. They walked through corridors that seemed to shift and change around them. They passed through sections where humans worked alongside beings that were part machine, part something alive and beautiful. They walked through gardens where plants grew under artificial light, and through laboratories where scientists studied things that looked like pure energy contained in special containers. "You were created," Hana explained as they walked. 200 years ago, we knew that we were going to have to leave the galaxy. We knew that the Council would never accept us, never accept what we had become. So we sent one of our finest, a warrior, a protector, someone enhanced beyond all normal limits. We gave you memories of Earth, false histories, a fake past. We sent you to become a legend, to make humanity respected in the eyes of the entire galaxy." "Why?" Jiwan asked. "Because," Hana said, "in 200 years, when we were ready, we would need someone who understood both worlds, someone who could stand between us and the Council, someone who could make them see that we are not monsters or enemies, but the future of humanity. We needed you to be a bridge." They came to a special chamber. Inside this chamber was a device that looked like nothing Jiwan had ever seen. It was made of metal and crystal and something that looked alive. Inside the device, images were displayed. Memories. Images of Jiwan's past, her real past. She saw herself being created in a laboratory. She saw the scientists explaining her purpose. She saw herself being sent back to Earth with false memories implanted in her mind. She saw herself being awakened in the present time, returning to the galaxy as a legend. "I was never real," Jiwan whispered. "You are real," Hana said. She took Jiwan's hand again. "You are as real as any human can be. Your experiences are real. Your feelings are real. Yes, you were created for a purpose, but you are still real. You still matter." Jiwan looked at Hana. There were tears on her face now. Tears of a person who had just discovered that everything she thought she was a lie. "What do you want from me now?" she asked. "We want you to decide," Hana said. "You can go back to the Council and tell them what we are. Tell them that we are not a threat. Help us rejoin the galaxy as equals, not as prisoners or weapons. Or you can stay here with us. You can be part of something greater than a legend. You can help us become what we were always meant to be." Jiwan looked out at the vast chamber. She saw the future of humanity, transformed and beautiful and terrifying and wonderful. And she realized that she had been walking toward this moment her entire life, even though that entire life had been engineered to bring her to this exact place and time. "I need to think," she said quietly. "Take all the time you need," Hana replied. "We have waited 200 years. We can wait a little longer." And Jiwan stood in the chamber, surrounded by the future of her species, understanding finally who and what she really was, and having to decide what it all meant.